Good morning. Professor, we will start the session.
Okay, sir. A very good morning to all the participants who have joined in this webinar. In fact, EGS Play Engineering College has honor and privilege to conduct this students webinar. It is my pleasure to host this webinar on solar PV-based electrical vehicle. I welcome our beloved CEO Chandrasekhar sir and Principal Ramabalan sir. I welcome you, sir. I welcome our beloved HOD Dr. V. Mohan sir, who motivate us to do this event. I welcome you, sir. I welcome Dr. T. Suresh Padmanabhan sir, who was very supportive for conducting this event. I welcome you, sir. Now, I welcome our young and budding engineer, J. Vasan, third year triple of our college, to present his ideas. He is very much interested in electrical drives and vehicles. He is the communication mentor for scientific triple students and also monitors the project lab in our college. He completed several courses in NPTEL and attended implant training in Madras Atomic Power Station, Kalpakkam. Now, I call upon J. Vasan to carry this session. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for introducing me. First of all, very good morning to all. Once again, I welcome you all the participants to the webinar on solar PV based electrical vehicles. And I would like to thank to our college management, CEO sir and our principal sir for their wonderful support. And my sincere thanks to Dr. V. Mohan sir, head of the department EEE, Dr. T. Suresh Padmanabhan sir, and my class coordinator K. Nandakumar sir for giving this wonderful opportunity. And I hope that you are very curious to know something about solar PV based electrical vehicles from me. So without any further delay, now let's move into webinar. I turn off my camera for better network. So these are the content of this particular webinar. First one is introduction, and then need for solar PV based electrical vehicles, and then main components, and then solar panels, and then batteries, motors, braking methods, recent solar PV based electrical vehicles, and then merits and demerits. Finally, references. Introduction about solar PV based electrical vehicles. Solar PV based electrical vehicles is a vehicle which is going to run by utilizing the power which is generated by the solar panel itself. This image shows that one of the solar PV based electrical vehicles in which the solar panels are mounted on top of this particular vehicles. So whenever the solar rays are fallen on solar panel, which converts the solar light energy into electrical energy. So this electrical generated electricity will be stored by the battery, which gives to motor when there is a need. As motor gets rotation, the car gets motion. So this is about overall working principle of this particular vehicle. And also we can call this vehicle as green vehicles because when we go for IC engine based vehicles, it produces more amount of carbon monoxide which pollutes environment. So when we go for this type of vehicles, we can able to avoid the pollution. So that's why generally this type of vehicles are known as green vehicles. And then electrical vehicles. You may think that why I have included electrical vehicles here. Electrical vehicles are almost equivalent to the solar PV based electrical vehicles. Electrical vehicles is going to get the power from battery, whereas solar PV based electrical vehicles going to get the power from solar panel itself. So these are the major differences between the electrical vehicles and solar PV based electrical vehicles. And then types of electrical vehicles. So generally we can classify the electrical vehicles into three types. First one is plug-in hybrid electrical vehicles, and then extended range electrical vehicles, and then battery electrical vehicles. Whereas plug-in hybrid electrical vehicles, this vehicle is going to have two sources. One source is that power from IC engine, and another one source is that power from battery. So that's why this type of vehicles are known as plug-in hybrid electrical vehicles. So when we go for electric range for this particular vehicle is that 10 to 40 miles, and then we can operate this vehicle into two modes. The first mode is that blended electric mode, and another one mode is that ICE engine mode. Blended electric mode is a mode in which the maximum amount of power which is going to be supplied by the battery only, whereas ICE engine mode, the maximum amount of power which is going to be supplied by the ICE engine. So these are the modes in this particular vehicle. And then when we go for output energy for this particular vehicle is that 2 to 9 kilowatt hour. Prius plug-in is the example car for this particular plug-in hybrid electric vehicles. And then extended range electrical vehicles. So these vehicles are approximately equivalent to the plug-in hybrid electrical vehicles, but in this case we are going to use some small rating IC engines for getting the additional power. So these are the difference between plug-in hybrid electrical vehicles and extended range electrical vehicles. So when we are looking into the electric range for this particular vehicle is that 35 to 40 miles, and output energy for this particular vehicle is that 8 to 10 kilowatt per hour. Chevy Volt is an example car for this particular vehicle. And then go for battery electrical vehicles. Is a vehicle which is going to run by the only battery. Here we are not going to use additional sources like hybrid electrical vehicles. So when we are looking into the electric range for this particular vehicle is that 80 to 300 miles, and there is no emission due to the absence of IC engine here. And then output energy for this particular vehicle is that 16 to 85 kilowatt hour, and Tesla S, Nissan Leaf are the example cars for this particular vehicle. And then configuration in hybrid electrical vehicles. Generally, we can classify the hybrid electrical vehicles into three types. The first one is parallel hybrid and series hybrid, and another one is parallel hybrid hyphen series hybrid. Here I am going to talk about only parallel hybrid and series hybrid. So when we go, before getting into these hybrid electrical vehicles, we can know about some basic component in this particular slide. The first one is reservoir. Reservoir is a place where we have to store the fuels like petrol, diesel, and those things. And then batteries, already we are aware about that. Generally, the batteries are used for charging the charges in the form of electrochemical. And then electric motor is a machine which is going to run, which is going to run, and also it is going to convert the electrical energy into mechanical energy. And IC engine is a basic component of this particular system, which converts the energy, which converts the mechanical energy from the fuels. And then transmission is a part which is easier to transmit the energy to the wheel of this particular vehicle. So this is about the basic component in this particular configuration. When we go for parallel hybrid, the both IC engine and the electric motor is going to be connected in parallelly. That's why this type of configuration is known as parallel hybrid. So when we go for series hybrid, here the IC engine and the alternator, it is going to be connected in a same socket. That's why this type of configuration is known as series hybrid. Generally, we are preferring this series hybrid. And then up to this side, we have seen about electrical vehicles and hybrid electrical vehicles. So when we are looking into the electrical vehicles as well as hybrid electrical vehicles, all are very good, such that like efficiency, output energy, and all are very good. But still, there is some disadvantages in those vehicles. When we go for electrical vehicles, we need a external source for charging the battery. When we go for IC engines or hybrid electrical vehicles, we need a both reservoir, which means fuel and as well as electric power. So in order to avoid those problems, we can go for solar PV based electrical vehicles. That means our today webinar topic. So these are the need for solar PV based electrical vehicles. The first one is to avoid utilizing the power from external source. As I told in electrical vehicle, to avoid utilizing the power from external sources. Here the external source, it may be a power from charging station, power from DC grid, and those things. So if you want to avoid those things, you can go for this type of vehicles. And then to avoid global warming, yes, of course, when we go for IC engine based vehicles, it produces more amount of carbon monoxide, which easily mixed with atmospheric air, that is oxygen, As a result, it produces more amount of carbon dioxide, which is easily absorbing the solar rays like UV rays and those things. As a result, the temperature of the air will be get increased. So this phenomenon is nothing but that is called global warming. So in order to avoid global warming, we can go for this type of vehicles, and then to build it green environment, and then to decrease utilization of ICE engine based vehicles. So this particular slide is having a two images. The first image shows that two types of environment. The first part of first image shows that one environment which is affected by the global warming, and second part is shows that second image shows that there is no emission when we go for solar PV based electrical vehicles. And then main components in solar PV based electrical vehicles. First one is solar panels, and then charge controller, and then battery, and then motor controller and electric motor. Generally, solar panels are used for converting the solar energy into electrical energy. That is the purpose why we are using the solar panels in this particular vehicle. And then charge controller. Main purpose of charge controller is that to protect the battery from overcharging. That is the purpose we are using the charge controller here. And then battery, already we are aware about that storage element which is used to store the charges in the form of electrochemical. And then motor, as its name suggests, it is going to control the motor by varying the commutation. And then electric motor, already we know about that, a machine which is going to convert the electrical energy into mechanical energy. So this particular slide is having some block diagram. This is the overall system of this particular vehicle. And then solar energy, already we aware about that. It is the most abundant source on the earth. We can call this energy as renewable energy or non-conventional energy due to its non-exhausted nature. So generally we can classify the solar energy into two types. The first one is solar thermal energy, another one is solar light energy. So in this particular vehicle we are going to mainly concentrate on solar light energy only. So these are the light energy only used for solar PV based electrical vehicles for converting the solar light energy into electrical energy. And then energy conversion in solar panel. Generally, the solar panels are made up of semiconductor materials like silicon, germanium, and those things. So most of the solar panel manufacturing companies are preferring the silicon due to its lowest price. So now let's see how energy conversion is to be done in a single silicon cell. So as you see in a slide, the single silicon cell is having two materials named as N-type material and P-type material. N-type material is having a more amount of electrons as a majority charge carriers, whereas P-type material is having a more amount of holes as majority charge carriers. So when I am placing the two materials nearer to each other, one junction will be formed that is called PN junction. And also due to the recombination between holes and electrons, one region also will be formed that is depletion region. So whenever sun is emitting the photons which are reaching the depletion region, where these photons are used to bring back the holes and electrons from the depletion region. As a result, the potential difference will be occurred between the N-type material and P-type material. So when I'm connecting the across load this particular solar cell, the electrons are started to move from N-type material to P-type material. This is about the overall energy conversion in solar panel. And then some configuration in solar cell, connecting solar cells from solar cell to PV system. So now let's consider one single solar cell. If you are connecting the more number of solar cell together, then it is called solar module. So in case if you want more amount of voltage, you have to connect all the solar cells in series fashion. If you want to more amount of current, you have to collect all the solar cell in parallel fashion. And then solar panels, if you are connecting the more amount of solar modules together, then it is called solar panel. If you are connecting the more number of solar panel, then it is called solar array. If you are connecting the more amount of solar array, then it is called PV system. So this is about the small configuration in PV system. And then types of solar panels. Generally, we can classify the solar panels into four types. The first one is monocrystalline solar panels. and then polycrystallized solar panel, and then thin flame amorphous solar panel, finally concentrated PV panels. When we are looking into the monocrystalline solar panels, are the panels which are manufactured by the using the single silicon crystal for each and every solar cell. Whereas polycrystalline solar panel, in this case, we are going to more amount of single silicon crystal and melted together to form a polycrystalline. And then thin flame amorphous silicon cell, it is a non-crystalline one. It is having a limited temperature range. And then go for concentrated PV panels. In this case, we are going to use some optical devices for improving the solar concentration in this particular panels. We can use the glasses, lenses as optical devices here. So these are about solar panels. So now let's compare various solar panel based on the efficiency rate, advantages and disadvantages. So efficiency of monocrystalline solar panel is approximately 20% due to the usage of single silicon crystal for each and every solar cell, and then high efficiency rate is an advantage of this particular cell, and then disadvantage is that high expensive cost is very high. Whereas polycrystalline efficiency is that approximately 15% and lower price, and the disadvantage is that lower lifespan. When we go for thin film amorphous silicon solar panels, the efficiency is very less, approximately 7 to 10% due to its limited temperature range. And then advantage is that low cost, and then disadvantage is that lower lifespan. When we go for concentrated PV panels, approximately efficiency is at 41%. Probably efficiency of concentrated PV panels are very higher than other solar panels due to the usage of optical devices. So advantage is that very high efficiency rate, and then disadvantage is that we need a cooling system for improving the high efficiency. So if you want to improve the efficiency of this particular PV cell, you have to use some optical devices. Then only we can able to improve the efficiency of this particular solar panel. And then charge controller, it is the most important component in photovoltaic system. Purpose of this charger controller is that to protect the battery from overcharging. That is the reason why we are using. And then it is having some three important functions. The first function is that if the battery voltage is greater than maximum voltage, the charge controller has to disconnect the battery from PV array. And second function is that if the battery voltage is less than minimum voltage, charge controller has to disconnect the load from battery. And then third condition is that if the battery voltage is in between the minimum voltage and maximum voltage, charge controller has to connect both load and PV array to the battery. So these are the function about charge controllers. And then battery, already we are aware about that. Battery is nothing but combination of more cells. So now let's take a look into cell. Cell is a fundamental component of cell battery. This will have two electrodes named as anode and cathode, which will be dipped in electrolyte. So that setup will be called cell. This cell is going to be convert the chemical energy into electrical energy during the discharging condition of the battery, and this cell is going to convert the electrical energy into chemical energy during the charging condition of the battery. So it's about cell. And then modules, if you are connecting the more number of cells together, then it is called modules. As I told in solar panel, if you want to more voltage, you have to connect all the cells in series fashion. If you want to more amount of current, you have to connect all the cells in parallel fashion. And then battery, if you are connecting the more amount of modules together, then it is called battery. So this is a picture related to the battery. The first one is cell, and then module, group of cells, and then battery, a group of modules. And then comparison of battery. Before getting into this particular topic, we can know about what is meant by specific energy, what is meant by specific power. Specific energy is nothing but energy which tell us how far we can travel by using this vehicle. We can say the example for this particular energy is that marathon running, where energy is very important. Now let's move into specific power. Is a power which tell us acceleration about this particular vehicle. And we can say the example for this specific power is that running 100-meter running, where acceleration is very important. And then now let's compare various battery based on the specific power, specific energy, cycle life, and cost. The first battery is that valve regulated lead acid battery. Probably this battery was usually in electric vehicles firstly, and the cost of this particular battery is that very low. Whereas nickel cadmium battery, it is having a specific energy approximately probably 40 to 60, and specific power is that 150 to 350, and then cycle life is that 600 to 1200. Cost of this particular battery is that very medium. And then go for nickel metal hybrid. Cost of this particular battery is that very medium. And then zinc air battery cost is very low, and specific energy is that 2-3 knot, and the specific power is that 105, and cycle life is that 600. So now we'll directly come to the lithium ion battery. Probably the all values like specific energy, specific power, cycle life is very high in lithium ion battery. That is the reason why the most of the electrical vehicles are preferring the lithium ion battery usage. But there is some disadvantages in the lithium ion battery. That is cost is very high. So nowadays the more number of research are going on lithium ion battery, how to reduce the cost of lithium ion battery. And then electric motor, as I told earlier, a machine which is going to convert the electrical energy into mechanical energy. So generally we can classify the electrical motor based on the commutator. If the motor has commutator, then it is called commutator motor. Otherwise it is called commutatorless motor. So furtherly we can classify the commutator motor into two types. The first one is self-excited motor, another one is separately excited motor. When we go for self-excited motor, in the sense, here we have to give the common voltage to the both armature winding and the field winding. Whereas separately excited, we have to give the separate supply to the field winding for the field excitation purposes. And furtherly, we can classify the self-excited motor into two types. The first one is DC series motor, and another one is DC shunt motor. When we go for DC series motor, we have to connect armature winding and the field winding in the series fashion. So this motor generally used in traction purposes due to its initial torque at low speed. When we go for shunt motor, it is having a armature winding and the field windings are connected in parallel fashion. This type of motors are generally used in constant speed application. So now let's go for separately excited motor. Furtherly, we can classify the field excited and permanent magnet excited. So now let's go for commutatorless motor. So generally we can classify the commutatorless motor 5 types. First one is induction motor or asynchronous motor, and then synchronous motor, and then BLDC motor, switch reluctance motor, and then permanent magnet hybrid motor. When we go for induction motor, it is a very highest efficiency in AC motor. So we can classify the induction motor into two types. The first one is wound rotor induction motor and squirrel cage induction motor. Wound rotor induction motor is nothing but in this case the rotor is going to have some windings. So that is the reason why this type of motors are known as wound rotor. And then squirrel cage induction motor, this is going to have some bar type rotor. That is the reason why this is called squirrel cage induction motor. So now let's go for synchronous motor. Synchronous motor, we can furtherly classify the three types: wound rotor and the permanent magnet rotor, and then reluctance motor, and then reluctance motor, and then BLDC motor. You may think that why I have differed the BLDC motor from the other motors. I tell the reason later. And then switch reluctance motor is a motor, electric motor, which will have a fewer rotor poles than stator poles, and then permanent magnet hybrid motor. So these are the motors are widely used in electrical vehicles. But due to some advantages, BLDC motors are used in electrical vehicles. So now let's see what are the advantages BLDC motor is having. Why BLDC motor to solar PV based electrical vehicles? The first one is high efficiency. High efficiency, which means that there is a less amount of losses. In BLDC motor, due to the absence of mechanical commutator, we can avoid the friction losses, and also there is no current flow in the rotor part. So the overall losses of BLDC motor is very less. That is the reason why all are preferring the BLDC motor for the EV implementation. And then compactness. Yes. Generally, the BLDC motors are using the rare earth magnets as a rotor. Rare earth magnets is nothing but a magnet which is going to have a many flux density, more amount of magnetic field when comparing to the ferrite magnets. So we can say the example for this particular magnet is that a neodymium, samarium copper magnet and a neodymium magnet. So size is very less. That is the reason why BLDC motor are usually in electrical vehicles. And then ease of cooling. Yes, there is no current flow in rotors, so we have no need to cool the rotor part. Only we have to cool the stator part only. So stator is stationary one, so we can easily cool. And then low noise due to the absence of mechanical commutator, there is a less amount of noises in BLDC motor. That is the reason also why we are using the BLDC motor. And then elimination of spark. When we go for DC motor, during the commutation period, it produces some spark due to the not having a proper maintenance. So we are not able to use DC motor in solar PV based electrical vehicles. So in order to avoid the elimination of spark, we can go for the BLDC motor. And then some basic introduction about BLDC motor. The first one is a synchronous motor. A BLDC motor is going to run at synchronous speed. That is why this type of BLDC motor are known as synchronous motor. And then electronically commutator motor. Because in this BLDC motor, we are doing the commutation process by using the power electronic switches like MOSFET, IGBT, and those things. That is the reason why this type of BLDC motors are known as electronically commutator motor. And then reverse DC commutator motor. Yes. In DC motor, the commutator is converting the AC supply into DC supply during the commutation period. Whereas BLDC motor, we are giving the input as DC to the inverter circuit, which converts the DC into AC. So this BLDC motor is just opposite to the commutation of DC motor. That is the reason why this type of BLDC motor is known as reverse DC commutator motor. And then some important parts in BLDC motor. The first one is stator. It is a stationary one. It will have a three-phase winding, and then rotor. It is a rotating one. This will have a rare earth magnets, and then Hall effect sensor. This sensor is generally used for sensing the rotor position of this particular BLDC motor. And then Hall effect sensors. This sensor is going to, by the principle of Hall effect. Hall effect is nothing but, so when we are applying the magnetic field on current carrying conductor, some EMF will be developed across the conductor. This is a Hall effect. So by this principle, the Hall effect sensor is working. So generally, this Hall effect sensor are used to detect the rotor position in BLDC motor, and also which is used to measure the magnitude of magnetic field. This particular sensor is going to give some output voltage, which will directly proportional to the magnetic field strength through it. Okay, this particular slide is having the pin diagram. So there are 3 pins are there. The first pin is that 5-volt pin where we have to give a supply, and second pin is that ground pin, and third pin is that the digital pin. The digital pin is the digital output pin. So this will have 2 outputs. It may give a 0 or 1. So if it is giving a 0, we can consider as lower signal. If it is giving a 1, we can consider as higher signal. Basic operation of BLDC motor. So before getting into this basic operation of BLDC motor, we can know about some basic parts in BLDC motor. As I told earlier, this will going to have a stator which is having a 3-phase winding, and then rotor. This will be a rotating one, which will have the permanent magnet as a rotor, and then some Hall effect sensor or position sensor are mounted on top of this rotor. And then microcontroller, already we are aware about that, a device which is going to compare the sensed value and the reference value. The reference value in the sense, already we have to upload some value in the microcontroller by using the softwares. For example, Hall effect sensor value result is that 110, the switch 1 have to be turned on. If the Hall sensor value 0111, the switch 6 have to be turned on. So like that we have to program in microcontroller. So, and then triggering circuit is a circuit which is going to trigger the power electronic switches for something. And then input side we have some inverter circuit, and input side we are giving a DC as an input, and then there is some capacitor. Main purpose of capacitor is that to maintain the DC voltage constant, and inside we are having three legs. Each and every leg is having a two power electronic switches, and anti-parallelly we have connected some diode for freewheeling purposes. So this is about basic parts in BLDC motor. So now let's go for working of this particular motor. The initially the Hall effect sensor is going to sense the rotor portion. So this result is will be fed to the microcontroller, which is going to compare the reference value and sensor value. So based on the sensing, it is giving us some signal to the triggering circuit, and based on the microcontroller instruction, the triggering circuit going to trigger the particular switch. For example, I am triggering the switch 1, so the current will flow through the switch 1, and then which will reach winding 1, and which will become an electromagnet. So rotor is already permanent magnet, so that this rotor is tries to attract the stator pole or repel to stator pole. So due to the interaction between the rotor and the stator, the rotor experience some torque. So as a result, the rotor starts to rotate. So this is about overall working principle of this particular BLDC motor. And then some example picture for BLDC motor. The first one is 20 kilowatt BLDC motor, and the voltage of this particular motor is that 72 volts to 120 volts DC, and then rated power is that 20 to 25 kilowatt, and peak power is that 50 kilowatt, and then speed is very high, 3200 to 5000 rpm, and rated torque is that 80 newton meter, and then peak torque is that 160 newton meter. Whereas when we go for efficiency of this particular motor is that very high, greater than 90%, and the weight is that 30 kilogram, and we can go for the cooling method as a liquid cooling. Okay, for this particular motor. Second BLDC motor, that is a 3 kilowatt BLDC motor. So when we go for voltage, we can operate this BLDC motor 48 volt or 60 volt or 72 volt DC. Rated power for this particular motor is that 2 to 3 kilowatt, and peak power is that 6 kilowatt, and the speed is that 3000 to 5000 rpm. So if efficiency probably 90%, and weight is that 80 kilograms, and we can go for cooling method as air cooling and liquid cooling for this cooling to cool this particular BLDC motor. And then braking methods. Braking is nothing but stopping a machine at desired portion, that is called braking methods. So generally we can classify the braking methods into two types: mechanical braking or electrical braking. When we go for mechanical braking, here we are going to apply the brake to the wheel by using the mechanical brakes. So this type of brakings are generally preferred during the low speed operation. And then electric braking. In this case, we are going to use a motor which is going to run as generated, and it is going to develop some negative torque which oppose the motion of vehicle. And then purpose of this electric braking is that to avoid the motion of machine as quick as possible. So furtherly, we can classify the electrical braking into three types. The first one is dynamic braking, and then the regenerative braking. Final one is blocking method. First one is dynamic braking. This is a circuit diagram for this particular braking. So in this braking, we are going to disconnect the supply voltage from the motor winding, and then we have to short circuit the three-phase winding via the R1 resistor by connecting the switch in series. So when I am to disconnect the supply voltage from the motor winding, there is no current flow in the sector winding, which will become a de-energized. So due to the inertia of the rotor, the motor which will be able to some back EMF, which will be fed back to the R1 resistant, where the energy is going to be dissipated in the form of heat energy by turning on S7 switch. But in this case, there is some disadvantages there. That is, we are wasting the power external resistor R1. That is most disadvantage of this particular braking. And then regenerative braking. This regenerative braking is going to rectify the problem of dynamic braking. Here we are not going to wasting the power in the form of heat energy like dynamic braking. Instead of wasting the power, we are going to storing the power by using the storage element like capacitor. And next level of capacitor, there is some R1 resistor. So whenever the capacitor attains the over voltage, we have to turn on the switch for connecting the R1 resistor, where the energy is going to be, for extra energy is going to be dissipated in the form of heat energy. So this is about the regenerative and blocking. In this case, we are going to reverse the supply voltage. So due to the reversal of supply voltage, the armature current will get reverse direction. So this will create some impact on the torque. Due to the torque is a function of armature current. So this will produce some deceleration. As a result, the vehicle gets stopped. And then recent solar PV based electrical vehicles car named as Lightyear 1. And solar electric Lightyear 1 is a car which was announced in June 2019. And this car was designed by former engineers from Tesla and Ferrari company. And it also charges on fast charging because it is going to have two sources. We can go for solar panel for charging. Otherwise, we can go for charging station for charging the battery. And this vehicle is expected to go to production in 2021. This is about some recent solar PV based electrical vehicles, and then some image related to the Lightyear own car, and then speed of solar PV based electrical vehicles. Guinness World Records recognize the land speed record for vehicles powered by the solar panels. So first record is that 91.332 km per hour was set on 20th August 2014 by Sky ACA TIGA from Asia University at the Shimoshima Airport in Japan. The second record is that 88.8 km per hour was set on 17th January 2011 by the University of New South Wales in the car named as Sunfleet 4 at the Naval Air Base HCMS Albatross in Naura. And third record is that 78.3 kilometers per hour by the General Motors, the company, car named as Sunrise. And then merits and demerits. First one is to eliminate our fuel cost. So nowadays, the cost of the fuels like petrol, diesels are increasing rapidly. So in order to avoid those problems, we can go for this type of method, which means this type of vehicles. And then to reduce car emissions, yes, of course. And then sunlight energy is readily available. So we can use sunlight energy whenever we want, expect the rainy days and cold days like that. And then reducing the noise pollution while comparing the IC engine based vehicles. And then demerits. The first demerit that during the rainy days we are not able to utilize these vehicles. That is a demerit of this particular vehicle. And then initial cost of solar panel is very high. This is about merits and demerits of this particular vehicle. And then some charging station related to the for electrical vehicles. So we are not able, when we go for solar PV based vehicles, only we are not able to depending on the solar panel only. For emergency purposes, we need to charge the battery. So probably impending days, the electric vehicle charging station will be available on the roadsides instead of the petrol bank. And then some charging station technology, wireless charging station. It is a very simple. It should be equivalent to the working principle of the transformer. In this case, we are going to have some two circuits. First one is a transmitter circuit and a receiver circuit. Transmitter circuit, we have to give us some AC voltage. So due to the transformer action, some EMF will be induced in secondary winding. So based on the rectifier circuit, using the rectifier circuit, we can convert the AC voltage into DC voltage. So these are some technology about wireless charging station. And then finally references. The first one is NPTEL course, one of the NPTEL course named as Electrical Vehicle Part 1. Electrical Vehicle Part 1, which course was offered by IIT Delhi. This course was handled by Professor Amit Jain. And the second course is that one of the NPTEL course named as Design of Photovoltaic System, which was offered by IC Bangalore. And the third reference is that one of the journal paper named as Solar PV based electrical vehicles. And then thank you for
Thank you, Vasant. Thank you. Very good, nice presentation. Really thought-provoking presentation. We have enlightened. We got many things from you. Really appreciated with your slide flow and your fluent, and as well as the explanation of the slides. And we know about you. So audience also gave a good presentation. Very good presentation. Nice presentation. We got many good feedbacks from almost all of the participants. Very good. Thank you. Congratulations. And only few questions from participants. If any participants would like to ask questions, you may raise your hands by clicking the speak button. You may be connected to the speaker. But how somewhat some area or audio was not clear, but we enjoyed a lot. Thank you very much, Vasant. And we have some questions for you. Actually, what is the working principle of wireless charging stations? Can I explain?
That is the principle of like a transformer, sir. In this case, we are going to have some receiver circuit and transmitter circuit. In transmitter circuit, we are going to give us some AC voltage. So it's like a transformer. So when we are giving AC voltage to the input side of transformer, and some EMF will be induced in secondary due to the principle of electromagnetic induction. Like that, in this case also, we are going to give us some supply voltage to the transmitter circuit, which is going to be induced on secondary due to the principle of transformer action.
Thank you. And one other person is trying to talk with you. He is Mr. Sadish. Can we allow him? Mr. Sadish, can you ask question now? You can unmute and ask. Hello, Sadish. You can unmute and ask question now. Okay. Actually, he is unable to connect with you. Right, anyway. And the next question is, the future charging stations, how it will be available in the roadsides? We know maybe after 5 or 10 years, we will be having many electric vehicles in the road. So our roadside stations will be different for charging. How it will be look like, and what is the use of that for electrical and electronics engineer?
So in this area, there are many opportunities for the electrical engineers, and it's like a normal petrol station, and this will have some charging station like normal electrical vehicles charging station. So it will be placed like a normal petrol station. So it will have some sensors will be available, and the transmitter circuit and the receiver circuits will be available, and based on that we can charge the battery like that wirelessly.
Okay, and the next question is, can you give the approximate cost of solar panel for a watt size? Per watt, how much cost? Maybe any rough idea?
Sorry, sir. I am not.
Maybe in Indian rupee?
I'm not having any idea. Sorry, sir.
Answer 100 rupees per watt. 100 rupees per watt, something like.
Okay.
Okay. And another one question from participant. how to get more knowledge in the electric vehicles area. How can I get knowledge more from this electric vehicle area? What can I do? What are the courses I can attend or like that? Can you guide something?
So, if you want to gain the more knowledge about electrical vehicles, you can go for the NPTEL courses. There are so many courses are available related to the electrical vehicles. So, I'm also done the course on electrical vehicles department during I'm studying the second year. So, probably this will be help to you to improve your electrical vehicles knowledge, and also we can do some additional courses in the DIG, do it yourself, and this is offering the more courses regarding the electrical vehicles. You can join and you can learn something about electrical vehicles.
Okay, great. Shall I get the details about your NPTEL course, marks? What is the category?
Yes, yes, sir. I was done the electrical vehicles part one during my second year. It was 65%, got in electrical vehicles part one.
So it's elite. Huh?
Yes, sir.
Great. Congratulations. Thank you very much. We are at the end of the session. And is there any other questions? No. Okay. Our HOD may conclude the session. HOD sir is requested to conclude. Welcome, sir.
Good morning to all. We had a great session, of course. Vasant have done it well. And I hope this was the first student webinar by our institute. And after seeing the poster and invitation, 2 more students from our department, they have registered their names, the title for future student webinars. So they have really motivated. It's all because of you. Credit goes to Vasant. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for Dr. TSP, the moderator, and the class coordinator, Mr. Nandakumar. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, my dear participants, and hope you'll join in a future student webinar series. Thank you, Ananda.
Thank you.
All participants are requested to check your mail maybe after a few hours. Your mailbox will be having the feed link for the active participants only. When you fill it up, your certificate will be automatically generated to you. So please careful with your name and institution name and all. Thank you once again. Thank you all. Thank you. We'll meet in the next student webinar. Thank you.
Later.